Ecology, the study of the distribution and abundance of organisms and their interactions. A population is a group of individuals of all the same species living in the same area. A community is a group of populations living in the same area. An ecosystem describes the interrelationships between the organisms in a community and their physical environment. The biosphere is composed of all the regions of the earth that contain living things. The habitat of an organism is the type of place where it usually lives. The niche of an organism describes the biotic, living, and abiotic, non-living, resources in the environment used by an organism. Population ecology, the study of the growth, abundance, and distribution of populations. Size, density, and dispersion. Size of a population is the total number of individuals in the population. The density of a population is the total number of individuals per area or volume occupied. And dispersion describes how individuals in a population are distributed. It could be clumped, random, or uniform. Age structure is a description of the abundance of individuals of each age. And survivorship curves describe how mortality of individuals in a species varies during their lifetimes. The carrying capacity is the maximum number of individuals of a population that can be sustained by a particular habitat. Limiting factors are those elements that prevent a population from attaining its biotic potential. Density-dependent factors are those agents whose limiting effect becomes more intense as the population density increases, and density-independent factors occur independently of the density of the population. Exponential growth occurs whenever the reproductive rate is greater than 0. Logistic growth occurs when limiting factors restrict the size of the population to the carrying capacity of the habitat. Community ecology is the interaction of populations. The competitive exclusion principle is when two species compete for exactly the same resources or occupy the same niche, one is likely to be more successful. Resource partitioning is when some species coexist in spite of apparent competition for the same resources. The niche that an organism occupies in the absence of competing species is its fundamental niche. When competitors are present, however, one or both species may be able to coexist by occupying their realized niches. Character displacement or niche shift as a result of resource partitioning. Certain characteristics may enable individuals to obtain resources in their partitions more successfully. Predation is one type of interaction between animals. Predation is another form of community interaction. Symbiosis is a term applied to two species that live together in close contact during a portion of their lives. Mutualism is a relationship in which both species benefit from the relationship. Commensalism is when one species benefits while the second species is neither helped nor harmed. In parasitism, the parasite benefits from the living arrangement while the host is harmed. A food chain is a linear flowchart of who eats who, and a food web is an expanded, more complete version of a food chain. There are different levels in the pyramid of energy. Primary producers are capable of converting sun energy into chemical energy. Primary consumers, or herbivores, are heterotrophs that eat the primary producers. Secondary consumers, or primary carnivores, are heterotrophs that eat the primary consumers. Tertiary consumers, or secondary carnivores, are heterotrophs that eat the secondary consumers. Detrivores are also called decomposers. Trophic interactions. The dominant species is the most abundant species, or the species that contributes the greatest biomass to the community. A keystone species is one that has a strong influence on the health of a community or ecosystem. Removal of a keystone species results in dramatic changes in the makeup of species that comprise other trophic levels. An invasive species is an introduced species that proliferates and displaces native species because it is a better competitor or because its natural predators or pathogens are absent. The biodiversity of an ecosystem is expressed as a function of the number of species, niches, and trophic levels in the ecosystem and the complexity of its food web. Climate is a strong determinant of biodiversity. Latitude is strongly correlated with climate, but it also determines solar energy exposure. Habitat size and diversity influence how many different kinds of organisms can be supported, and elevation also influences biodiversity. The stability of an ecosystem increases with increases of biodiversity.